start off with a picture of Nimbin's Mardi Gras. That's a good way to introduce at least one of my topics. The project. I'll start talking about Icefight. The project started a couple of years ago to help deal with the stigma and some ignorance around methamphetamine. There was definitely a sense that there was a lot of sort of lies and exaggerations going around, and I really wanted to deal with the facts. And also I was in North Queensland. I was studying Diploma in Community Services, and I looked around for help and like sort of ice prevention, methamphetamine prevention, and it didn't seem to be much happening. But I did find a group in Geelong called Our Town's Icefight, and I got in contact with them actually when I'd moved back down to Brisbane, and I got permission to use their website and some of their material. And I planned a forum. I did one in Byron Bay, did one on the Gold Coast, and then eventually one in Brisbane over the space of about 9 months. And it was different sort of vibe and different interests each time. It's quite difficult to get people together if you're not well known and without any sort of advertising budget. But I managed to get a few people at each, and ABC Radio helped me with the one in Byron Bay. I got it on ABC North Coast. Anyway, not to go on about that too long, what Icefight is about, what the prevention groups. I have 120 ice prevention groups on Facebook, and Twitter as well. I have a group on Twitter, and so it's about prevention. Though after a while, I started seeing the need for more of a support group, because a lot of people were talking to send me messages about either their mum or their daughter or their son or someone they know, their partner, having a problem with methamphetamine. And I'd set up Icefight as a prevention, so I had to think, well, what can we do here? So I started Icefight support group, and it hasn't really taken off as much as it could have. There's a couple of things that would help it, definitely, if there was people able to respond to the messages more quickly, and that's the same with the prevention, because people, they don't see it's a prevention group. They send you a message and want to find out how to get their son or daughter into rehab and ideas. And I talk about my own recovery. I'm 17 years clean and sober, and I talk about that. So I eventually sort of started an Icefight LGBTI group as well. And again, it's not a huge interest, but it's there and exists. So it's sort of a specific market with people in the community. And it was interesting because I started it, and only a couple of months later they announced the same-sex marriage survey. So it felt like I'd got something going before that, and that's been very vulnerable for people in that community. It's been a difficult time. So then the other thing that I'm involved with just recently is decriminalisation of cannabis. So I started a QUT, Students and Friends for the Decriminalisation of Recreational Cannabis, and again, that's a Facebook group. Haven't had a meeting as yet. That's only been started since October the 2nd. There's quite a bit of interest in that, and that's definitely, I've read recently that a few years back, the interest and the support for decriminalising cannabis has grown a lot, as had I think from 2011 to 2014, the support for same-sex marriage. These things seem to be interesting as people become more open-minded that it's working overseas, and it's proven to be a good thing overseas. They're more likely to get their head around it for Australia. So we are following what we're a bit like the sheep, but regardless of whether we're following or whether we're creating something new, the fact is the decriminalisation is working and has worked in South Australia, ACT and Northern Territory. So the other states should come on board, including Queensland, New South Wales, and who knows how long that might take. But I'm interested in talking about that, and I've posted, you know, law articles and academic articles, so it's not just a whole lot of people talking about marijuana is okay without anything to back it up, or marijuana is bad. And when people sort of heckle it and say, no, marijuana shouldn't be decriminalised, I tell them, well, you read what's available on the University of New South Wales National Drug and Alcohol Research Centre, and then get back to me. And usually that's enough to get rid of them, because really they're arguing just on a fear that marijuana is going to take over and everyone's going to be on it, whereas the facts seem to be in Holland and Portugal at least that less people take it, and instead of putting all that money into justice, they put the money into health and how people deal with their addictions, and there's more education hopefully, and just in general it's just a positive thing. Of course there's going to be issues, and it'd be so much simpler if everyone just smoked the old-fashioned bushweed marijuana that wasn't as strong and made people quite a bit mad, like some of the sort of really strong hydro stuff does. But anyway, and the other thing, I am involved with Labour Enabled, which was set up by QUT students all around Australia. So it's a Labour Party a disability group, which is pretty new. And the guy is a Kiwi guy, Brad Sparrow, studies here at QUT and does social work degree, I think. He set that up and it's taken off all around Australia, and he's keen to do work with decriminalisation of cannabis as well, and the ice prevention group. So, you know, that's all early days in that area. And, you know, there's a lot of obstacles, and very difficult if you deal with the Labour Party's right sort of side. The left people are quite supportive, and definitely a lot of grassroots Labour people will get behind decriminalisation. But anyway, without it being too political, I'd rather a large chunk of university people were behind it. I'll have to pause this.
Reminder from QUT Security.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'm nearly finished. I've gone for 7 minutes, which I didn't plan to do. But yeah, I think I've covered things. Oh, the other thing was with the Icefight groups, it isn't just about ice prevention and talk about mental health issues, you know, whether it be schizophrenia, bipolar, you know, anxiety, different things. And lots of people have posted their experience, and people have promoted their rehabs. I often let them pass unless they're doing it over and over, and then as an admin, I don't approve them. And also with topics of suicide prevention, sexuality, relationships, and then the stigma of mental health, stigma of addiction, and of course decriminalisation has been a big topic I've been sharing on the Icefight groups, and of course on QUT students and friends for the decriminalisation of recreational cannabis. And if you do have a look at the group on Facebook, I've spelt it with the decriminalisation with a D-I instead of D-E. And I went to change that. I realised what I'd done afterwards. I went to change it. I couldn't seem to change the spelling. So the decriminalisation with a I write in brackets. It's spelt with a D-I because prohibition deserves to die or needs to die. And that's become a bit of a thing to share, and maybe a little bit of humour, and being able to say it's a human group, and there's a spelling error in the title. Does it seem less professional? Probably, but not to worry. You know, people have to get over their neurosis and let go that there's not a perfect world, and not a perfect spelling in the name of the group. And if you're a perfectionist, then that's sometimes I struggle with these things as well, and I have to accept that it's not a perfect world. I'm definitely not a perfect speller, but thanks for watching the video, and yeah, I hope I haven't been too long. Thank you.